Alright, so this is a video I feel like I need to make considering how much my content is Pokemon Go related, especially when it comes to raids. So if you've played Pokemon Go in the last few days, you've noticed that remote raids have gone up drastically in price from about 100 per pass to now 195 and now 525 for 3, which is quite ridiculous. Despite progress that I feel like they made during the pandemic, they definitely have detracted from that because it's making it harder and harder for people with little accessibility here. So heads up about changes for Pokemon Go's remote raid passes. These changes are designed to rebalance the game and ensure it's enjoyed by trainers for years to come. Changes will go into effect April 6th. This would have been 4 days ago as of recording this video. They increased 3-pack to the prices I just said, as well as increasing the premium battle pass for 250 added for 250 coins, which that in of itself is not bad. Now they are limiting 5 remote raids per day, and from what I've seen on Facebook and whatnot, it's not letting you, for some trainers, it's not letting you retry raids. It's essentially 5 tries per day, which I don't know how they're planning to make this accessible for future trainers to come, because especially in rural areas, the hell are people going to do? And especially for content creators like myself, I try and do multiple raids a day to get the how to beat series that I've been doing for the last year or two. In my opinion, that is absurd that they limit it. One, not to mention it for a financial standpoint, because people have to pay for these now, especially after they got rid of the 1 coin special package, as well as the chance to receive passes other ways. For those who are already struggling to get into raids, or say you need to retry a raid because you don't have the right team, or you need to adjust your team composition, this severely limits that, and now you can't retry a raid. The time limit should be the limit to what you can do with that raid. That's it. So this also poses struggles for people with mobility issues, as well as those in remote areas, rural areas that don't have a lot of players, don't have a lot of gyms or anything of the like. So it's harder for people to get coins, as well as now that it's more expensive, it pretty much rules out anybody that actually plays the game just for fun. It just like a lot of other mobile game companies, they're pretty much being like, all right, we are going to give in to the whales, or we're only going to cater to the whales, the people that can afford to pay to play, which in my opinion is ridiculous, especially for a game that's supposed to be as inclusive as Pokemon is. It's one of the most broad companies out there, if not one of the biggest that there is for the Pokemon company. This severely limits who can play and at what, and who can actually be able to access all the Pokemon in raids. Another update here: remote raid passes will be included in the pool of potential rewards for research breakthroughs, which that one's not bad. Earned via research subject to the existing inventory limit. That's not surprising. If trainer earns a remote raid pass from research breakthrough at the 3. Okay, that one's actually not bad. 5-star rate. Okay, so this is supposed to be a severe nerf to this, and I will say one thing: when raids first came out, it posed a bunch of problems because of the proximity that you had to get to raids. Often led for people trespassing, getting too close to dangerous areas and whatnot. Remote raids kind of helped limit that. For a lot of players, you can't get into raids unless you're invited to them, and if you're limited to it, you can't get them. I get maybe this is a nerf to people who abuse. Maybe this is a nerf to spoofing, Because spoofing is a very severe issue within the community, but it's also like one that doesn't necessarily hurt anybody except for the spoofer who may or may not get banned by Niantic's team. So, like, yeah, they want people to be playing in person, but at the same time, like with what I said with accessibility issues, that's including, like I said, those with mobility issues, whether it be lack of a vehicle, whether it be some form of physical disability, or even mental disability to some extent. People who can't travel can't play the game at this point, because I know several people who can only raid via remote raid by getting invited, which is absurd to me. Not to mention those who say work during the primary raid hours, who maybe on their lunch break is the only time they can raid, and the only way they can raid is through remote raid passes. This severely limits those who can actually play the game to the extent that people want to play the game. Like, it's supposed to bring the community together and whatnot, but Niantic is continuing to sever the link for the community. This is a recent post from Pokemon Global News on Facebook. They're a pretty large news outlet for the Pokemon community that has just signaled that there is some severe issues with it, as well as getting some reported users to validify this. For the Soph-Road subreddit the Soph-Road subreddit they brought in, saying that friends couldn't join for a second attempt at a raid because they reached their daily limit of remote raids. It's severely limiting access for those that, and you would waste a pass if you didn't get it the first try. Which, especially for a lot of legendary raids, if you say can't get more than 4, 5, 6 people into a raid, or even the mega raids, you can't do anything about it. And this is not even to talk about the elite raids that you have to be in person for. And not a lot of people can be in person for these raids. And this also goes for like some of those special community day raids that you have to physically go to a location to get the specific Pokemon for those community day raids. So they are limiting their accessibility severely with this remote raid update. And it is so harmful to the community. It is just absurd, in my honest opinion, that they would do this. Like, I get it. They're a company. They need to make their money. They need to nerf what they believe to be a broken system. But in my opinion, it's not a broken system. The remote raid system, as it was, gave accessibility to the community. Now what Niantic is doing is essentially they are going to, one, get rid of people who have been there from the start of the game, that have wanted to see progress in this, have been excited for the different updates. Like, after the initial drop-off of people who were like, oh, kind of got bored with it, you got your loyal Pokemon fans like myself who wanted to keep playing, who want to keep playing. Like, I would not be making content still if I did not, enjoy the game. So this is definitely something we need to speak to Niantic about, because their accessibility issues are so severe. Like, there's people in comments that are like, oh, it's a game that's meant to be mobile. I'm like, cool, then let people who aren't as mobile be able to play. Like, just because a game is technically meant to be played a certain way doesn't mean it has to be. That is, like, one of the big rules with gaming. Anybody can play. Anybody should be able to play. And this is one thing I hate about, especially, like, the mobile market, is unless you're able to pay to play and fit the criteria of the what brings the company the most money, like your whales, like those that don't really give a shit about the money or others around them. Not saying all whales are like that. There's some whales that I'm like, that are genuinely nice people. I've played like when I was playing Rise of Kingdoms, several of the whales were really nice and helped out a lot, especially because that was kind of the way you played Rise of Kingdoms. You helped each other out, and that's the way Pokemon Go is. You help each other out. Like when they released the way for Vivillon, it essentially brought like the worldwide community together in a way to be able to get the different versions of Vivillon. So, and in this way, they're now nerfing that as well, because not as many people are going to be, because part of the reason for having friends from different areas are being able to get different raids, being able to get different Pokemon that you can't normally access in certain locations unless you travel there. We can't get these Pokemon. We can't do this. We can't include those who have less accessibility. Because this is also talking about those who work, as well as, people with families who can't travel as much. Or people that just fucking English generally can't do these things. Niantic is shooting themselves in the foot with this. I really want them to reverse this, like, even at the price point. Like, there are some people that, even at 100 coins, it's too expensive. And it really is expensive for most people. Because, especially in the growing market that we have in the with inflation, like, $5 doesn't go as far as it used to. And sometimes that $5 is what the next person needs, is what somebody needs to be able to get through the week. And that's essentially what 3 passes is costing right now, is $5, and possibly even more, especially for those who want to play more and more raids. And I wish Niantic would realize this. So I will post all links down below. There is the change.org petition so far, according to this post, with over 90,000 signatures. And also, please use that hashtag for Hear Us Niantic. Do what you can to help bring this game to be more accessible to others, because Pokemon is been a game that has been community based from the start, and we need to keep it that way. We need to make sure that this game remains accessible. Like, I have met so many different kinds of people who play, from kids that can barely use a smartphone to grandparents that can barely use a smartphone playing this game. And then everyone in between, from the rabid Pokemon fans to just the people that use it as an excuse to exercise. Like, this game means a lot to a lot of people. I love this community. I want this community to thrive. There's no reason Niantic should be doing the things they're doing. But please, if you guys can, support it through the change.org petition. I will make sure to link that in the description below, as well as link other resources for you guys to look through. But we need to keep Pokemon Go controlled by the community, because Niantic clearly doesn't know what the community wants. This nerf was never needed. Not from a company standpoint, and not from a player base standpoint. This was not needed. It just made the game so much less accessible. So much less accessible. Yeah, check out all the links in the description. Let me know your thoughts on the subject, because we have to stick together as a community. That's what this is all about. That's why I make the videos that I do. And I really wish Niantic saw that as well. But clearly at this point, they don't.